Your communication, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, you have communicated and told the committee chairpersons to work and ensure that they have concluded the work. But Right Honourable Speaker, I would like you to re-echo your voice on this matter, because you find committees are stuck. Some of the committees are stuck. Members cannot go even internally to do the benchmarking. So they cannot go and come up with the conclusions on reports. Some things they need to go and see them physically. And you find these members come to you and tell you, Honorable Commissioner, we don't have the budget to go and do this. And then members get stuck. So I think, Right Honorable Speaker, you have to come out clearly and add your voice strongly to the Minister of Finance to facilitate committees of Parliament. This is the only way the committees of Parliament will be able to do oversight work, because we shall not be having any business here if government is doing activities and there is no oversight. So one of the reasons as to why the committees have been slow, Right Honourable Speaker, is because they are being under-facilitated, and everything they cannot move to go even to the nearby village. You find the committee is getting a budget of 30 million, Right Honourable Speaker. 30 million cannot even do a small visit to go and do an oversight and look at something that government is implementing. How will they report? They cannot just sit in office, Right Honourable Speaker, and in the committee room and come up with the conclusion. So this is something, Right Honourable Speaker, that you must come out very strongly the way you have been doing, so that we do the last to push the ministry to ensure that Parliament is facilitated, Right Honourable Speaker. You had started it, and Right Honourable Speaker, I pray that you continue and push them until Parliament is facilitated to do its mandate. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Solomon. And as really said, as Honorable Solomon is saying, we do work for executive. And if you cannot facilitate us to do the work for you, then why are we here? You need the bills. You need these reports. But you're not facilitating Parliament. So what do you expect of us? You need to help us to help you. Yes, Jonathan?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I recall that government, the executive, had undertaken to work around to ensure that committees of this House can do their work. There is a tendency for the front bench to come and respond casually so that the matter is passed, and then 2 weeks later there is no action. So I would want to advise Madam Speaker that since there was an undertaking by the executive that this matter would be addressed, they should come back to this House and tell us how far the issue that was raised by this House concerning the release of finance to Parliament to be able to do its work. I've also been made to understand, Madam Speaker, even the judiciary again, and for them, they are not here, nobody can speak for them. Even the judiciary's work has been affected because the budget cuts also affected them badly. So this is a matter that I think calls for mutual respect between the three agents or departments of government, and I think that there must be a strong commitment this time, not just the casual one, and then it's backed up by action. Thank you.
Maybe we need to hear from government. First from Honorable Kiwanuka, then we hear from government.
Madam Speaker, probably just to emphasize on the point Honorable Soliwanya has raised, is that at the moment we are unable to travel with the budget of 30 million for the whole committee. I think the only thing you can do is to take just a few members, which may not be acceptable to other members as well. And we had been promised actually a statement on that, as to what is happening sometime in the first quarter. So we've been waiting to hear what is it that's happening. But Madam Speaker, I'm rising in relation to your communication regarding bills, motions that have been referred to committees. In the Committee of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, we have a bill, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2021, which was referred to us and we are due to report. The deadline for reporting is the 9th, which is tomorrow. However, this bill has some certain sticky areas on which the committee has to agree with the Minister of Finance before we can present our report. And in today's meeting, which we had, the ministry found it advisable or plausible that it's first, not really withdrawing, but that first we put a hold on processing the bill and wait to hear from them, and that they are going to consult with their stakeholders. We tried to ask how much time
Honorable
they need.
Kiwanuka, can you put that in writing and come and lay on table? It is this house that gave you the bill. Please come back to report officially on table or in the house.
Madam Speaker, what I'm trying to do is to seek extension of the house.
Not like that, not from my communication.
I've already written to your office, Madam Speaker.
Come and read it, bring and read it here. It will be in the order paper tomorrow. You will come and read it, and the house will either give you an extension or not. Government.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank Honourable Solomon Silwani for the issue he has raised, which also affects the performance of ministries, because it was a general budget suppression whereby ministries suffered 40%. My own ministry suffered actually 41%. So I think this is a matter that government through the Minister of Finance has to again go through the performance of our revenue to see the readjustment, possible readjustments, to make sure that necessary facilitation is availed, not only to Parliament, because parliamentary committees work with the ministries. If I have a bill I am processing, I am at pressure to make sure that my members of the committee have gone in the field to appreciate what we are presenting. So what I'm saying is that yes, I agree with the submission, and I am going to inform the lead of government business. This is one of the items that can actually be discussed at that level to see how we can facilitate ourselves to serve the people of Uganda. I thank you.
And Dr. Ruth, you don't have to compare Parliament with the ministries. So the issues of Parliament are really very different from the ministries, but we are grateful you're going to handle it. Thank you so much. We will expect to get a report back in the House on that issue next Tuesday. Dr. Ruth, we expect a report on that issue on Tuesday next week, on how far you've gone on that issue.
From the lead of government business, Right Honourable.
Yes, Ajara Mapenduse.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, for over 3 months now, Gulu City Council and Omoro District Council are not able to function effectively due to serious financial challenges, particularly with their local revenue. These challenges are not because there is no local revenue, but because Parliament appropriated local revenue budget for Gulu City far less than what the City Council approved and is able to generate, while for Moro District, Parliament never appropriated local revenue. Right Honourable Speaker, Gulu City Council approved local revenue budget of about 3 billion for financial year 2021-2022. Unfortunately, Parliament appropriated only 400 million as local revenue for Gulu City. less than what the council approved by about 2.6 billion. By 30th of November 2021, Gulu City had already generated about 1.8 billion, far above what was approved by Parliament by almost 1.4 billion. Much as Gulu City is doing great to generate more revenue, the city cannot now carry on critical functions. The fact that the 400 million appropriated by Parliament got exhausted. The city has written several letters to the Ministry of Finance about the need for a supplementary budget to enable them use what they have raised and in line with their budget. Right Honorable Speaker, for Omoro District Council, the council approved a budget of 518,438,000 as local revenue for financial year 2021-2022. Unfortunately, Parliament never appropriated any amount as local revenue for Omoro District. From the start of the financial year to this day, Right Honorable Speaker, Omoro has so far generated over 200 million, which is lying redundant on their account due to the omission by Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, these entities are not asking Parliament for any additional money, but simply requesting you to allow them use what they have been able to generate and in line with their budget. Right Honorable Speaker, the delay to always act on matters coming from local governments do not only affect the morale to work effectively and generate local revenue, but also leave service delivery paralyzed. It is therefore my prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, that in line with Section 25 of the Public Finance Management Act, this Parliament compels the Minister of Finance to expeditiously prepare and present to Parliament a supplementary budget to enable these entities operate effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Government. Of course, mindful of a document or instrument that was sent by PSST to all accounting officers to ensure that the NTR is first put to a consolidated account. So we should act, we should expect a response in line with that. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for raising this important issue. The Honorable Member has raised this matter and also provided a solution. But I would advise that the best way to move on this one is to request your district or city to ask for a supplementary through the Minister of Finance. Then thereafter, they will bring Schedule 2, supplementary Schedule 2, then to be processed by Parliament. So that's the easiest way, because we must stick to the Public Finance Management Act, and that's the route that you should take. So if you can ask the accounting officer to put in a request, then that will be processed by the Minister of Finance immediately. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, just thank you very much for that. But just to clarify, Honorable Minister, Gulu City wrote the first letter on 20th of August to the Minister of Finance, requesting for a supplementary with details of every information you need. The second letter was written on the 19th of October. The third letter on 23rd of November. You can imagine 3 months down the road, the city is not able to function. How long does it take for the ministry to act on such request? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, can you just follow it up with the Minister and find out if the schedules were received, the letters were received, then report back to the House. And if they were received, what happened?
Okay, I'll do that. And Honorable Member, if you can be available tomorrow, we could actually accompany to the Minister of Finance to follow up that matter.
Thank you. Indio Mugenyi.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Roland Yomjenyi. I represent the people of Ruchiga. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on the matter of urgent national importance concerning the hand hose that were promised to Ugandans some time back. Right Honorable Speaker, the people of Ruchiga constituency are asking the whereabouts of the hand hose that were promised to them and approved by the 10th Parliament and never reached the constituency up to date. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 14th of June 2021, while you were presiding over this House, I will read verbatim what you told us. You said, honorable members, the 10th Parliament passed a resolution for the distribution of hand hose to the population as per the government's efforts to increase agricultural productivity. I have been informed that the hand hose have been delivered in different districts, and I urge you, honorable members, to follow up on the distribution of these hand hose so that they don't become like face masks, and that, of course, gives you political mileage. Each household is supposed to get 2 hand hoses in every district. Madam Speaker, the information that you gave us came out well and clear, and it was received with sincere gratitude by all Ugandans. Madam Speaker, since that date, up to now, those hand hoses have never been delivered, specifically in Ruchiga, and every day, every 10 calls I receive, 8 are asking about what could have happened to those hand hoses, and I have no answers. My prayer, Madam Speaker, is that you direct the relevant ministry to update Parliament on what could have happened to these hand hoses that were allegedly procured and were supposed to have been delivered to the people, especially my constituency, Ruchiga, where I am sure that they have never been delivered. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Roland. Government. It's a fact that we made a provision for hand hose in the 10th Parliament, and it could be that it didn't, the budget could not go to all the districts, but let's hear from government.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. You've in fact guided well on that, because even my own Mitoma has not yet received anything, and people are expecting, but government is implementing this in a phased manner. We procured 1.5 million hose, which were distributed in some parts of Lango, Tesfa, and all that. And once the budget allows, and colleagues, you are the ones who will be appropriating, we are going to procure more hose for all the people. Our commitment still stands, and we are going to ensure that people get hose. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I just request the people of Ruchiga to remain hopeful.
Keep the hope alive. For me, mine of Bukede are good. Okorimo, Chairperson Agriculture. Let me hear from the Chairperson Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Janet Okorimoy, District Woman Representative Abim, and the Chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture. Right Honorable Speaker, the 10th Parliament provided money which was meant for procurement of 2.5 million hose. As a committee that time, we requested government that even if there were few as 2.5 million, they needed to touch all areas of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, when we requested for accountability of the 2.5 million hose, some of which arrived after the elections, Actually, some of them arrived in May, June. We were told the hose were given to 3 sub-regions. West Nile sub-region got 1,203,000 and hose. Teso sub-region got 860,000 hose. Karamoja sub-region got 437 and hose, and that brings the total to 2.5 million hose. We have been engaging the Minister of Agriculture to ensure that there is some provision for the rest of the districts and the sub-regions of the country to benefit from this hand hose. Like you rightly said it, Right Honorable Speaker, every household was supposed to receive 2 hand hose, 2 pieces of hand hose, and that is how it was distributed to the districts of West Nile, Teso, and Karamoja sub-region. For us as a committee,
thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Korimoy, for giving way. Right Honorable Speaker, it is true, West Nile region we got the hose and Pakwach, my district, got. What I want to be clarified is that, and to bring to attention of the House, is that not the entire district got hose, where a whole parish or some parishes in the sub-county did not get. What are the plans of the ministry to ensure that these Ugandans too receive the hose?
Chairperson,
I got to know.
when we go into the next budgeting, you must budget for all the districts that did not get hose. Because when we talk of a district getting, my own district also did not get, all the households did not get the hose. So we need to budget for that in the next budget.
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker, that is what we are pushing as a committee, but I have details of all the districts which got and what they got. Thank you so much, Right Honorable
Thank
Speaker.
you. Can you go ahead and read your letter on the bill? After she has finished, then you will come. I know you want to talk about the fishing community.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank colleagues who had already spoken before me about budget of committees. Right Honorable Speaker, sometimes we really want to speed up with the work, but when a committee gets just 30 million shillings for oversight, then work becomes difficult. It is the reason some of the bills cannot be concluded. And Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to put a request to this House made under Rule 1412 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament to seek extra time for consideration of the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2021. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the Committee of Agriculture is currently considering the bill entitled the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2021, which was referred to it on the 29th September 2021. Rule 1292 of our Rules of Procedure requires that the committee examines a bill in detail and make such inquiries in relation to it as the committee considers expedient or necessary, and report to the House within 45 days from the date the bill is referred to it. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I stand to inform this honorable House that the Committee on Agriculture started consideration of the bill at the beginning of October 2021, and now the 45 days have elapsed, and yet consideration of the bill is still underway. Right Honorable Speaker, in line with Rule 141 of the Rules of Procedure, I would like to inform this august House that the Committee on Agriculture has been unable to complete consideration of the bill within the required 45 days. I therefore seek permission from this honorable House that the committee be given extra time to allow it complete its work on the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I beg to present.
Thank you. Honorable Chair of Agriculture, she's seeking for an extension of time, and these are things we've been saying, that you make these people take longer when we don't facilitate them. How much more time do you need?
Right Honorable Speaker, normally there's a saying that a beggar has no choice, but I think 1 month, including the recess, the committee can be able to accomplish its work.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, my name is Kabusu Moses. I represent Chamuswa constituency in Karangala district, a fishing community. Madam Speaker, I raise on a point of procedure. Madam Speaker, I'm one member who has appeared before the Committee of Agriculture, the very committee whose chairperson is seeking for additional time. Madam Speaker, all the engagements of the committee had been carried out here at Parliament. Madam Speaker, this is one bill that has spilled over from Parliament to Parliament. I was a member of Parliament in the 8th Parliament. I left something about this bill. I've taken out two terms, 10 years out of Parliament. When I came back here, I found the fish and aquaculture bill on the floor. Madam Speaker, when we interacted with the committee, the chairperson said they do not have money to go to interact with our fishing communities. Yet, they were unable even to accept all of them in their numbers to hear from them. So the procedure, Madam Speaker, I raise to be guided that it would be procedurally right that the committee, whereas it is seeking for additional time, would not go to the fishing communities who are affected or who are the beneficiaries of the bill that is under consideration by Parliament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Of course, the chair cannot come out with a bill without meeting the fishing communities. The committee has to go and meet the fishing communities. And you need to get their views to be included in in the report. Yes, another fishing person.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge the request by my chair, and I'm a member of the Committee on Agriculture, but also I currently lead the members of the fishing community as MPs. Madam Speaker, even if we got 3 months or 6 months as additional time, if we don't have the resources, the only purpose for this extension is not for us to sit here in a boardroom and accomplish the task before us. All my MPs from the fishing community and the people down there, because, Madam Speaker, this issue has been on the floor of this parliament, the whole of last parliament. This parliament had to adjourn a number of times because of the fisheries issues. The only time we have to have a good law and also to involve the population is actually now. We have done all the boardroom issues, but we have not undertaken the field activities. And it is imperative that, Madam Speaker, and I have no doubt, under your directive, this committee cannot fail to get resources. And I'm hopeful that today you will direct the relevant office to avail resources specifically for Agriculture Committee so that they bring the right views right from our communities. And my people are praying in Uvuma and other areas that this committee reaches out to them, and also for political accountability. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Robert, the chair and the team are going to visit you in your community and give you the political mileage. Committee, we are giving you 1 month to present to this house your report, and you must go to the fishing communities.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I was about to mend my prayer, but if the 1 month is accompanied with resources, all will be well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There's a procedural matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on procedural matter. And fortunate enough, the chairman was smart enough to come back and clarify on that. I wanted to find out, based on statement made earlier, that committees are not being adequately funded. So when the chairman asked for 1 month, I was wondering whether she was comfortable with funding, but thank God she was able to raise it. But the second issue, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the chair said the hose were distributed to all regions and sub-regions. There was not all in the country, but in the north, in Karamoja, and I think part of the east. Now, I want procedurally, Speaker, to let you know that the hose were not given to the sub-region. The hose were given to certain individuals, to the extent that I have registered in this house that there were individuals who were given hose to facilitate their campaigns, and some of us were just onlookers. We just heard that so-and-so got 15,000 hose, another one got 10. They started even quarreling among themselves. How comes others got 15, others got 10? Right Honorable Speaker, I want to stand here as an elder to say there are those who also participated in the election. They never saw the hose. Those are candidates. I'm one of them. I never saw the hose. Secondly, I did not see hose being distributed by my district, because then they would have soaked our guidance as members of parliament. We were never at any one time called as members of parliament to be told that there was some hose to be distributed to our farmers. So, Right Honorable Speaker, if the hose are for the people, we should leave politics out of it, because we all need the hose, and we all need to feed our people, and that's the backbone of our economy, Right Honorable Speaker. Please, with our peasantry culture, Right Honorable Speaker, use your office to educate the NRM Secretariat or whatever Secretariat to make sure that the entire country get the hose. because then we can all develop together. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Imat, Honorable Cecilia. I really don't see how NRM is coming in this thing of the horse. Must it really come? Must the party come? If I heard very well from the chair, Honorable Cecilia, you know I never fault you because of being in that evening hours. If I heard very well, West Nile, Acholi, and then Teso in the north. And we've said we should budget for all the areas that did not get the hose. Because even those ones that got, all of them did not get. The whole district did not get. So that is going to be handled. We don't have to bring motions into this. It will be handled. And don't bring politics. It is for the good of everybody. Yes, Jonathan?
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. As Soroti District, Soroti City particularly, we received 18,000 unhosed. However, I want to give information to the chairperson of agriculture and also to interest this parliament to follow up with the matter of Soroti. 150 boxes of hand hose were stolen in Soroti City. It has never been followed up to today. The Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Frank Tumembers, visited Soroti, ordered for the arrest. Indeed, 14 people were arrested. But up to now, the matter has gone mute. I want to interest this parliament and particularly the chairperson of agriculture to follow up with this matter. Can you imagine the stores where the hose were put are guarded by 6 police officers and 12 padlocks. But in the morning, by the time they went there, there were no hose. Where did the hose pass? The 12 padlocks and the 6 police officers. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, thank you. The investigating officer should follow that up. Of course, it can't be the chairperson of the committee. I mean, there are other bodies to handle that. I asked Honorable Akelo, Sechi, you're coming. I asked the Honorable Akelo yesterday to lay on table the books she was alleging that were from the ministry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me another opportunity to lay these textbooks, because I think some were thinking it was not true. Actually, I went to Aristoc and bought these books. That means that they're actually out there. So allow me to lay on table. Yesterday I only talked about 1 textbook, but I'm going to lay 3. And that means the ministry has a lot of work to do in actually looking through all these textbooks and what our students are actually, our pupils are being taught. The first book I want to lay is Longhorn, 2nd edition, Integrated Science, Pupils Book 6. It is written by W. Mpumude, adopted to the new competence-based curriculum, Expanding Minds. And I will draw your attention to pages 214 to pages 217. I beg to lay.
Is the book approved by the National Curriculum Center? Check behind for an approval.
Madam Speaker, if you will allow the minister to come back and tell us that it is not approved, because our students are being taught this.
I am being asked to talk about the
I just
content.
I just want to interest you in what the minister said yesterday, that these books must be approved by the National Curriculum Center.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. Before coming into the House, I had an interaction with Honorable Lucy Akello. She showed those books to me, and I told her I think we were going to receive those books and we need to carry out investigation, the technical people. I will give those books to them to ensure that whether these are books approved by the National Curriculum Center or they are not approved. If they are not approved, then that will have to take another step to ensure that all books that are brought to the attention of parents and our children are the right accredited books. That's what I shared with her.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, just at the back of the book, if I may read just briefly, Longhorn Integrated Science is a new course that has been recommended by the Ministry of Education and Sports for the use in Uganda primary schools. It fulfills all the goals and targets of the primary integrated science curriculum in Uganda. So it is here at the back. They are not my words. And like somebody was saying, what is in the content? When you look, yesterday I raised the issue of reproductive health Uganda integrated in this book, and they're teaching our children that it is actually legal to do abortion and that it is okay to take pills for contraceptives, and we are teaching this to 11-year, 10-year-old children for what? That it is actually okay to do tubal litigation to a 10-year-old child, 11-year-old child. We are all parents. So this, I beg to lay
Lucy,
this book.
lay the books and then we'll make a follow-up.
The second book, I would like to lay on table. It's the New Fountain Primary School, Pupils Book 6, New Curriculum. It's by S. Mugisha, Ara Kavuma, and then M. Santa. You will look, the pages that will interest us is from page 191 to page 192, I beg to lay. Another book is Integrated Primary Science, MK. I think you're very familiar with this. And it covers the current National Curriculum Development Center syllabus. I beg to lay. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
We'll look at those books and get back to you. If it is not from the National Curriculum Center, then an action must be taken on those personalities. Lucy, thank you. Sechi?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I raise on a matter of procedure under Rule 42 and Rule 50 of our Rules of Procedures that provide for questions asked of ministers relating to public affairs with which they are officially connected, proceedings pending in Parliament or any matter of administration for which the ministers are responsible. And under Rule 50, provide for the minister shall attend sittings of the House to answer questions asked him of him or her. Right Honourable Speaker, yesterday you directed and you gave comfort that before the adjournment of the House yesterday, this House would be presented with a statement from the Ministry of Defense in response to the deployment of the Ugandan troops to Congo. Indeed, as the day wore on, I saw Honorable Huda Oleru, the State Minister for Defense. She was present yesterday, But I note and I realize that today, none of the ministers under the defense docket is present to answer these very critical matters that touches the constitution of the country, that touches our people, and that is even putting us as parliament in a very awkward situation. We sit, as we get out, the public waits for answers, and the ministers are not here. And it would be okay if it would be incidental matters, but these are matters that are hinged on the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. The deployment of the expeditionary forces outside the borders must be presented to Parliament. And even if it was a statement of 1 or 2 paragraphs, to acknowledge before the members' representatives, so that we are able to own up. And in case of any eventuality, it is the country Uganda at task. It is the people we represent, aware that war is not a tea party. There are other issues. Right, Honourable Speaker, if I may share a small experience. I was present when we enacted the UPDF Act in this House. But in that act, it was to take care of the UPDF forces. But I want to tell you and the members that the grandsons and daughters of this country who died along Nakulabye, Wandegeya, Kampala Road, Summit View, and other places before the official takeover and announcement of change of government have never been compensated by the current government under the law, because they are being regarded that they were acting outside the law and that they were rebels, even those who died on 25th. And yet they propelled this country through a liberation where the current government sits, but they were unable to have them regularized under the UPDF Act. So even now, what's wrong with having our boys and girls, the officers in Congo, to be regularized? You never know. Tomorrow, under another dispensation, some attorney general, like we have one here, would easily interpret their deployment and say they were acting outside the law. So, Madam Speaker, wouldn't it be fair to the people of Uganda that government gives a statement and regularize our deployment that is already there anyway? Why are ministers not in the House to answer these questions? Can the government chief whip his ministers so that they come and attend and answer this very matter of public importance that touches the Constitution? What don't we have? I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sachi. The question is, why are these ministers not here? The ministers are in the field, and they have written to me as per Rule 114 that they may not be able to be here because they are busy protecting and securing the lives of Ugandans. That is one. Two, we could actually ask the leader of government business to give a statement tomorrow, Thursday at Prime Minister's time, on what is happening. But one thing is, these ministers have written telling us what they are doing, and they will be here to report at an appropriate time. Jocelyn?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable.
Let Jocelyn finish first.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on a matter of national importance. Last month, one of my primary schools in Ntungamo, called Kemironko Primary School, in Igurua Parish, Ruhama County, it was destroyed by hailstorm. This school accommodates over 600 pupils, and it is one of areas which are very hard to reach. We wrote to Ministry of relief and disaster preparedness on 23rd of November, and up to now we've not got any communication. They have not given us any response. There is no action taken. These pupils are supposed to report back next month according to Ministry of Education schedule, but the school is not there. And we have nowhere to put these children. So we really beg, my prayers, I request the government to provide us with iron sheets and cement, such that we can put some structures to accommodate these pupils. And in fact, we shall even need some tents because the school was completely destroyed. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Government?
Right Honourable Speaker, it's a very sad situation for the people of Ruhama, and the request that was submitted is being processed. I thank you.
Government Chief Whip, what commitment have you made to the school?
Right Honourable Speaker, I've given a very strong commitment of requests being processed. Because there are procedures we go through as government. I cannot come and say tomorrow iron sheets are coming, cement is coming. I would be lying, Right Honourable Speaker. But I'm going to remain in touch with the Honourable colleague.
Jocelyn, can you keep in touch with the Government Chief Whip on this issue?
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Next item.
Item number 3, statement by Minister on compensation of victims of the Lord's Resistance Army and the National Resistance Army insurgency in various parts of the country.
Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members, reference is made to my earlier presentations to this House on the status of the compensation of victims of insurgency in northern and eastern Uganda. The exercise has registered significant progress, and the current status is as follows. On the 14th day of September 2021, the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs launched an exercise to identify and confirm for payment genuine livestock claimants and beneficiaries in Nacholi, Lango, and Teso sub-regions with genuine claims using a biodata through district structures based on data cards, which is currently being implemented in conjunction with the district leaders. The launch at Parliament was presided over by the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker and attended by members of Parliament from the 3 sub-regions. Reports received from the districts indicate a strong response.
Attorney General, some interruption.
Yes, right.
The report that is uploaded is talking about livestock compensation claims, whereas the issue on the other paper is a general compensation. Are we talking about the same?
Right Honourable, maybe there may be a discrepancy. You allow me to harmonize and come back tomorrow?
Yeah, because this is a big... The document is on livestock, whereas what is on the other paper is a general compensation. So these are two different documents. Two different issues.
I noticed the discrepancy.
Okay.
Let us expand and present a more comprehensive report tomorrow.
Yes, there is a procedure matter.
Right Honourable Speaker,
Okay, ma'am.
when I heard the Land Attorney General talking about North and Eastern, I got excited thinking that Busoga region falls in the eastern part of Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, one of the wars that was disastrous and that affected my people and the people of Busoga, Right Honourable Speaker, was the Lakwena, the Holy Spirit movement. People lost cows, people lost homes, people lost a lot of property, Right Honourable Speaker. We have on several occasions pleaded with the Attorney General to include the Busoga sub-region on the compensations. May I beg your indulgence, Right Honourable Speaker, that when the Attorney General is bringing the report, they include our region, Right Honourable Speaker, so that the people of Busoga can benefit as well as the people of northern Uganda, so that we make a comprehensive report, a comprehensive payment and compensation that all Ugandans will be happy and will appreciate, because they were all affected by war. I beg to move, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Silwani, you're now talking about the substance of the report. Which report we have not had?
The heading was...
No, you're speculating. Because we don't know, maybe there is a Busoga region somewhere in the middle. So let's wait for the report to be read, presented, then we debate on the report. Yes, Jonathan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate your guidance. I wanted to beg your indulgence that whereas the Attorney General will come and present generally on compensation, there is a matter of compensation that is peculiar to the sub-regions of Teso, Langwa, and Acholi. So it would be proper that within his statement, he finds either a subheading to touch on that matter, because there are very important issues that we would like to raise with him on concerning that. So the Attorney General maybe could put it on record here whether he would find time to bring both aspects of compensation, the general one, but also the ones that affect the three sub-regions, which was raised in this House.
All that will be captured in the next report. The Attorney General will tell you where this compensation is going. If it is going to Busoga, Sebei, where, that Bugisu, I know my man of Bugisu is here dying for it. It will be in the report.
Right Honourable Speaker, considering the magnitude of the work, because now I have to look at the general picture of the whole country, not a mere sub-region. It means I may not be in position to make that presentation tomorrow. I seek to do so sometime next week.
Procedure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm Reverend Father Charles Sunen, by the grace of God. I want to inquire whether the person we are calling Attorney General is a land lawyer, because he should be able to interpret the message given him. This is a deliberate move to frustrate the war victims, Honorable Speaker. You are abusing our elders.
Father Nen.
Yes, thank you.
Father Nen.
Speaker, yes.
Father.
Yes.
Did anything annoy you on your way here? I have ruled. It's not about anybody's qualification that he should be able to decide whether compensation should be paid or not. Please sit. Please sit, Attorney General.
Right Honourable, he has challenged my qualification.
No.
He's using unparliamentary language.
Procedure.
I'm concerned.
Honourable, let us try to be courteous enough when we're in this house, because when we leave
I beg
here,
that he withdraws, and he should
When
put
we
that on
leave-
record.
when we live here, Father Nen, you know I'm one of your parishioners. So I may start doubting my father. Father Nen, when we live here, we have a life to live. The Land Attorney General is qualified to be where he is. You don't have to doubt his qualification.
Procedure.
Next item. Attorney General, you will bring a feedback to this House on the action that has been taken, on the status of how far you've gone with the compensation.
Madam Speaker, information.
Of all the areas, including Bugisu, Busoga, Bukedi, all those areas, Sebei, all the affected areas. Now I can see how you're shouting like we are in a drinking joint. All the areas that are affected, you give us a report.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the procedural matter I'm raising touches on Section 39 of the UPDF Act. My brother, Honorable Sechikubo, had indicated and called upon you to give guidance on this matter. But the procedural matter I'm raising, Madam Speaker, is that if you look, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when you read Section 39, together with the Constitution 39 of the UPDF Act, it is worded in a way to mean or to direct that Parliament, even when Parliament is in recess, the moment deployment takes place, the Speaker is obliged under that law to summon the House immediately so that this Parliament can sit. So it means that even when Parliament is in recess, it was envisaged that that is a very important deployment that Parliament must sit. Now that this Parliament is not even in a recess, Madam Speaker, I want to seek your guidance that this is squarely now within your powers, because the law provides that if we were for recess, you are going to call an emergency sitting of this House to do the same. But now that we are here, wouldn't it be procedure right that, Madam Speaker, if the executive is unwilling to come voluntarily, you compel them by putting this matter on the order paper, approval of deployment outside the border, because that's what the law requires. We cannot be here begging when actually it is our duty to do this thing.
Jonathan, this matter is on the order paper. It's on the order paper, so they will come. Don't worry. Next item.
Item number 4, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Special Provisions Bill 2021, Bills Committee stage.
Members, there were issues that were raised yesterday on the agreements that some people said wanted to be laid on table. Can I ask the minister to first lay the documents on table? And we also agreed on a committee that would reconcile what was on the majority report vis-a-vis the minority report. So the minister should be able to report on what they have agreed in that committee. The committee was comprised of leader of opposition. Mr. Nambeshe, can you leave my leader of opposition? Leader of opposition, the shadow, Minister of Energy, Government Chief Whip, and Honorable Katuntu. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I would like to lay on table 4 documents, beginning with the addendum to the production sharing agreement for the exploration, development, and production of petroleum resources which the government concluded with the upstream international oil companies. Exploration area number 1, I beg to lay.
Please lay.
I beg to lay addendum number 1 of 2021 in respect to the production sharing agreement for contract area number 1, contract area number 2 for petroleum exploration, development, and production between the Government of the Republic of Uganda and CNOOC, Uganda Limited, and Total E&P, Uganda BV, signed on 2nd of March 2021. I beg to lay on table.
Please lay.
Number 3 is addendum number 1 of 2021 in respect to the production sharing agreement for contract area number 3A for petroleum exploration, development, and production between the Government of the Republic of Uganda and CNOOC Uganda Limited and Total E&P Uganda BV, signed on 2nd March 2021, and I beg to lay. Yesterday, Right Honorable Speaker, from the presentation from the chairperson who presented the minority report, there was a requirement that I also lay on table the settlement action plan for the ECOP, and I promised that I would come with it, and I request that I lay it on table. Resettlement Action Plan, Uganda, East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project.
Please lay.
March 2021.
Thank you.
There was also a requirement to lay on table the statutory instrument on early project activities. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay on table the statutory instrument as required of early project activities. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
You had instructed me to give a report on the agreed position as you guided us to go and harmonize. And I want to request that I'll be reporting on the harmonized provisions as we handle clause by clause, because the report was proposing amendments to the bill. And this is what we agreed with the LOP and the other team members.
LOP, is that an agreed position?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and I thank you for your indulgence. True, you did instruct us to convene and try to harmonize the positions to minimize on potential acrimony during the consideration of the clauses in the bill. We convened since yesterday, carried through this morning. We've been able to try and come to the center on some of the key areas. A few remain gray, but again, our positions are not ordained, because while we're doing that, we have this parliament to eventually look at what we've been doing, because they will have the final say. That said, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the early compliance by laying on table some of the key documents on which we insisted that should be laid before Parliament, but also go out of my way to explained that these documents, since they were declared at some stage sacrosanct and therefore not easily publicly available, they should be available on demand. When members need to go to read them, to be able to appreciate the nature of these commitments, because, Right Honourable Speaker, we are legislating for a country's financial resource. When we mishandle it, certainly we shall be blamed for dozing on duty. Lastly, the minister probably forgot something. Whereas the statutory instrument for early project activities was one of the documents asked to be laid, she was supposed to attach a catalogue of those activities. Probably she will have to look for it and lay it before we conclude this bill. Not the SI only, but also an attachment of the catalogue of those activities for our attention and future reconciliation of activities. Please look at it. Otherwise, we are ready to consider some of the areas that we have been able to look at. I must warn the House in advance that the nature of this bill is such that why it's called a special provisions bill, because the tendency is that it touches over 18 existing legislations, which it will probably amend by infection or necessary implication, and therefore we must have our eyes and hearts open to do the business of this country without fear or favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition and Minister of Energy. And the fact that we've agreed on a number of issues and reconciled, can we now proceed with the committee stage?
Bills committee stage. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline Special Provisions Bill 2021, Clause 1.
Chair.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues. Right Honourable Speaker, on Clause 1, my committee recommends that the House adopts that clause as is. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to call that
Honourable members, I put a question that Clause 1 stands part of.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Clause 1 is on commencement, and it provides for 2 commencement dates, generally for the bill to come on a date of publication that is futuristic, but creates an exception for sections 11 and 38, which shall be deemed to have come into force on 1st January 2016. Madam Chair, this requires us to respect the rules of retrospective legislations. Laws are made for the future because of the principle of certainty. You must be certain. Where we are required to legislate backwards or retrospectively, we must satisfy the two conditions: certainty of facts and also the attribution of facts. In this case, Madam Speaker, you'll allow me to point out that Section 11 that seeks to be legislated retrospectively touches on Section 1 of the Land Act, but also Section 73 of the Land Act, which provides for unauthorized undertaker to acquire land for the project or for whatever purpose. If in 2016 there was an undertaker and that land was acquired, we should be having those facts here before this House. Who was the undertaker? Who acquired the land? How much land was acquired? How much was paid for? And in whose hands are this land available? That should be laid here before this House so that it forms part of this legislation. Secondly, we are talking about Section 38, which is about the early project activities. From 2016 up to now, it is assumed that some activities took place and those activities were properly costed. So by now, if we are to give it effect, we must know who undertook this activity. Were these activities under the early project activities for Uganda only? Was it proportionate to our shareholding, the percentage of Uganda? And also look through the definitions that has been provided for early project activities under Section 2, which says that early project activities shall be caused by investors. And yet investors have been defined in this very bill to mean everybody, not only Uganda. So why should Uganda pay that cost of $428 US, $428,190 US dollars, when some of them are cost incurred by other partners in the project, including other governments that are part of this, and also the companies that are coming from out. So unless these facts are here, and then Parliament can legislate with certainty on the amount, and that amount must have been ascertained by the Auditor General, then we cannot proceed here. So, Madam Speaker, I would advise that the second part that seeks to take back the bill to 1st January 2016 do not stand part of this bill.
Can we hear from the Minister?
Very much, Right Honourable Chair, and I want to thank my colleague who has raised these pertinent issues where we have to come out very certain. Madam Chair, if the member can be patient, we have provisions which are elaborating land acquisition in this bill. And the bill also respects the Ugandan laws in whatever we are doing. I am not aware of any acquisition of land that has been done so far regarding the East African crude oil pipeline. This bill is specific on the ECOP. It is not talking about any other refinery or whatever. It is talking about the pipeline. And as far as I know, we have not acquired land. The company, the ECOP, has not acquired land. So in order for us to take care of the other activities that took place before we have put in place this enabling law, that's why we provided for this commencement date. Because obviously, there are activities which are taking place. There are those, it is moving, but we need a law that will regulate all those activities. So no land has been acquired, Madam Chair.
Honorable Katuntu, you chaired this meeting. Can I hear from you?
First of all, Right Honourable Speaker, there is nothing illegal about retrospective legislation. You can actually legislate respectively. You can. Depending on the reason you want to have to capture the period from which you want to begin from. I think what the minister should be explaining, or the chair of the committee, is that between now and 2016, this is what we wanted to capture, such that we bring it within the realm of this law.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
There's information here, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. I think the point my colleague is raising is just settled in the resettlement action plan, which we have tabled, and all the details are in. And this is part of the activities. For example, when you're going to do such an activity, you do a FEED, front-end engineering and design. Now, by the time if you're to wait for all these activities, then your project is not even bankable. So what we are doing is to ensure that all activities which started in 2016, and this is not only part of Uganda, because Uganda is taking only 15% of this pipeline. These include activities which are in Tanzania. For example, in Tanzania, they've already acquired all the land. They've moved extremely further. So when we are doing, we have to remember that we are a partner to a very big company where we own only 15%. So we cannot do it in isolation for Uganda. So the resettlement action plan has all the details of the land activities that have been captured. It has everything to do with land, and then you add on other activities which you would need to make the project move. So we moved the area, we prepared the area, and we have to capture all these costs.
Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to subscribe to the submissions of the Honorable Minister and all those who have spoken in favor of this clause. And I want to state that my committee looked at this clause, and indeed we requested the Minister to clearly state what these early project activities are. And this is included in our report that we have already disposed of, but suffice it for me to say that among others, they include integrated project, management team costings, health and safety, social security, environmental impact studies, pre-feed and feed, where feed means front-end engineering design, and getting contracting people to begin designing how the pipeline will be. So basically, this has been highlighted, and so as the Honorable Katuntu said, that there is no illegality in having a retrospective commencement on this bill, on this particular clause. I beg to submit.
Honorable members, I put a question
Madam
that
Chair.
clause 1 stands part of
Madam
the bill.
Chair.
Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
Clause 2.
Madam Chair, I beg to propose an amendment on clause 2, which is on application, by inserting the word "in Uganda" at the end of the provision. Madam Chair, the justification for this is that this is for purposes of clarity. The provision should clearly indicate that the law shall apply to the crude oil pipeline project in Uganda and not anywhere else. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
I concede. I support the amendment.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that clause 2 as amended becomes part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay.
Clause 2
The
as
ayes have
amended.
it. Honorable members, I now put a question that clause 2 as amended do stand as part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay.
Clause
The ayes
3.
have it.
Clause 3.
Clause 3 has no amendment. I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay. The ayes
Clause
have
4.
it. Clause 4.
Madam Chair and honorable colleagues, on clause 4 interpretation, I beg to move that we amend subclause A, amend the definition of the word off-taker by
Honorable member, I propose we stand over the interpretation clause. We shall process the proposed amendments to the interpretation clause at the end.
Thank
This
you.
is because we may come across another interpretation in the bill.
Clause 5.
Clause 5, I put a question that clause 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
Clause 6 has an amendment.
Madam Chair and honorable colleagues, we had made an amendment on this the amendment we are proposing is to insert a new subclause 3 immediately after subclause 2 and renumber accordingly as follows. 3, where the shares or assets of the Ugandan state participant are used as security of any description under subsection 1 or 2 by the project company, the Ugandan state participant shall submit a report to Parliament in relation to the security within 30 days from the date of acquisition of the security. Madam Chair and honorable members, the justification for this is to provide for parliamentary oversight. I beg to move.
I put a question that clause 6 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay.
Clause
The
6
ayes
as
have it.
amended.
I now put a question that clause 6 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay.
Clause 7.
Clause 7, there's an amendment.
It's here. It's here, the 8. This is clause 7. This is here. Clause 7 is here.
What about 6?
Clause 6 is finished. There was only green. We have the new one. Yes, the red, the green one is around the red.
So what happens to this?
Your team, I don't know your team.
Can we look at clause 7? Clause 7.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that we amend clause 7 by inserting the words arising from the 15% state participating interest in applicable petroleum agreements between the words it and at appearing in the third line, so that it reads, title to petroleum, notwithstanding the provisions of any Ugandan law, the Ugandan state participant shall hold the legal and beneficial ownership of petroleum allocated to it arising from the 15% state participating interest in applicable petroleum agreements at the exit point from the upstream project at Kabale to enable it to exercise its rights and perform its obligations under, to continue, and the justification of this is, Madam Chair, for clarity, I beg to move.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 7 be amended as proposed.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yesterday, I requested that we also make an amendment to this section. We only allow legal ownership. We shouldn't add beneficial ownership of petroleum allocated to UNOC. I raise it once again to members that Section 7, under title to petroleum, notwithstanding the provision of any Ugandan law, Ugandan state participant shall hold the legal ownership of petroleum. When we add beneficial ownership, we change the purpose of the bill. We are giving UNOC a lot of powers to this oil, which actually shouldn't be by all standards, because it's a trustee. It's acting on behalf of government. But when you add beneficial, it means that they have a right. You're giving them a right to use this oil or oil proceeds as and when they find it befitting. So I suggest to the committee that we amend to only give them the legal ownership, not beneficial ownership. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right, Honorable Chair, I thank you. I raise to support my colleague, Amos. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are dealing with other laws that are not here. And beneficial ownership is a huge bone of contention. And we believe what the full infection to other laws would be, because they have already said, notwithstanding provision of any other law. So the moment we give beneficial ownership in this bill, and we do otherwise in other bills, we would have given away, because, Right Honorable Speaker, in the other bills we are considering, this is a hugely contentious issue. And therefore, we believe right now it is only safer for us to give them legal ownership. Beneficial ownership, if Parliament wishes, they will acquire it when we are amending the Public Finance Management Act. But as of now, if we do it here and we have a provision notwithstanding any other law, that means we have, because the other laws are subject to this. So, Right Honorable Speaker, Chair, we believe this is huge, because what they are seeking out there is to take the entire revenue, because there they will be seeking to amend the revenue, the entire money, and use it at source, because they enjoy legal, their legal beneficiaries. So our humble view that the country is safer at this juncture under this bill to only give them legal ownership, and the beneficial ownership will be hugely costly to the country.
Thank you. Honorable Katuntu.
I think we need to look, Madam Chair, at the reason why we are giving this ownership to UNOC. That's when we can decide whether we give them beneficial or legal. What is the purpose? The purpose is to allow UNOC to utilize it at that stage for purposes of business. For purposes of business, that's all, not any other. In any case, UNOC, who are the shareholders of UNOC? It is actually Uganda. UNOC is our trading arm, is our investment arm. It's the one using the oil to trade in. The difference would be, then you have to sell, then you have got resources, then you have to get money, then appropriate. Does that happen in the daily oil business? Can you be doing that? So, Oshwa, let me have the information.
Honorable colleague, let me inform you, take this opportunity to inform you. We have deliberated on these issues in the Committee of Finance very elaborately. What are the implications, pros and cons? Up to now, government has gone back to consult. And the key turning point of that whole consultation is on legal benefit. The full impact of this is that in the other bill, they are even going to amend revenue, the definition of revenue, to exclude revenue arising out of this beneficial ownership. So the full implication is they want money, SNOC, and not to be part of the revenue under the petroleum fund, and it will have a huge impact. So if you have not schooled yourself fully to the other amendments, you may not fully internalize the full import of I know from the theoretical point where you come from, is for purposes of doing business. We have proposed other provision that will give, ways to do modern business in oil, but not to take ownership of oil, and the full impact will be too huge than what you are trying to insinuate, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the information, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi. But we don't legislate in anticipation. That's what the rules say. You cannot now bring a Public Finance Management Act and speculate that they are going to amend. Who is going to amend it? Assuming they don't amend it. Because you see, information?
Let him give information first.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, colleague, for giving way. Honorable, this is an issue, Madam Chair, which we committed ourselves long time ago. Number one, it's already provided for in the intergovernmental agreement, which we ratified here in 2017. Number two, it's also provided for in the host government agreement. So it's an issue we ratified, we gave legal and beneficial ownership to UNOC here. So that's just what we are doing.
Yes, Honorable Katonto.
I think, and the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi knows, when we are doing the downstream, midstream, and upstream legislation, we went through many of these things, including when we are creating UNOC and so on. Now we are being faced with business reality. And you see, we are not legislating for UNOC, but we are representing for the project where we are holding 15%. And I think we need to make that distinction. Our state participation in that project is only 15%. How do we utilize that for purposes of doing business? Unless UNOC has got powers, both, it must have those powers, really. And to me, there should be legal beneficial powers. That's the only way they can now transact unfettered. Otherwise, Right Honorable Speaker, business is not like we'll be coming here as MPs or even as cabinet and start running the company. The company must have some position, some powers to run. We just give the legal guidance, but the decision will certainly be on our investment company to run. So in my own view, I don't see anything wrong with giving them beneficial ownership.
Yes, Love.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, in our earlier attempt to harmonize Clause 7, the reason why it became a bit contentious because of its disapplying effect on the PFMA, and that we canvassed. When the chairperson introduced an amendment that attempted to distinguish between the 15% oil and other possible oil, that created a dichotomy that even makes this clause a bit distinct. And the submission of Honourable Mwanga Kivumbi, of course, bringing into perspective a possibility of legislating in anticipation, yes, is not a blind submission for me. And from what he's saying, the same government has gone back to consult over a matter almost related. And you see, Honourable Chair, we agree that UNOC is a trustee, and the powers of a trustee can be qualified. And I think that's what members are discussing, whether to qualify the powers of the trustee, that the trustee is not actually the beneficiary because of a possibility of conflict when a trustee is a beneficiary, and see whether we can create that dichotomy with either a new clause or to qualify by way of coaching this very clause. In light of this, Chair, would it hurt this process if this clause again becomes part of the consultation before we return, so that we can return to the center for this clause, because the contention on it should not make us lose sight of what we want to do in this bill. Would we lose a lot if we stood over this clause and do the final titbit to even invite finance to tell us what kind of rat they saw in standing over a clause in another matter they're dealing with? In the meeting, Chair, one of the issues I said that if we had crossed over these issues first, we would have gone initially to make amendments to the PFMA. But we put potential on some of the clauses, put the cart before the horse. And that's why we are now, speaking back and forth. I do not know whether the minister would lose a barrel of oil if we stood over this clause.
Honourable Minister.
Madam Chair, of course I will not lose even a litre of oil, but I need us to appreciate the fact that we are aligning this special provisions bill to the already signed agreements, and that we wouldn't like to have a standstill that we have ever experienced. 1 year, nothing is taking place because of a misinterpretation. So that's why we wanted to request that we don't stand over this. We pass it, like Honorable Katundu has explained. This UNOC is your baby. You called her a trustee, but you gave her responsibilities to represent you fully. And that there will be time where, on behalf of UNOC, the Minister of Energy will be questioned for whatever UNOC does as a company, because it is a Ugandan company. But it's not alone. It is a shareholder in a bigger company. And we don't want her, UNOC, to be in that position which puts her in a weak position. So I really request, Madam, that this is a provision that touches what is already in the agreements that we negotiated, and it was protracted in negotiation, and the heads of state agreed to these agreements. So I request that we don't stand over it. We accept.
Leader of Opposition, I really request we look at what was in the agreement, as Honorable Katuntu was making a submission, that we are ratifying what was already agreed upon. Much as we have the Public Finance Management Act, would be acting in anticipation, that is true. But where we need to know the principles of this agreement for us to be able to say we stand over the clause. And I would really think we move on with the clause. I want to put you brought your issue. I am going to put a question to you. I wanted to
just build on that issue, Madam Chair.
No, I am saying I am going to put a question to your amendment, and then we move on. We have an amendment that has been brought by Honorable Enos Asimwe, where he wants us to delete unbeneficial. I am putting a question. I put a question to the amendment proposed by Honorable Enos Asimwe that we delete the word unbeneficial from the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, no. No. The noes have it. I now put a question that the clause as amended by the committee, as proposed by the committee, stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Clause 7 as amended.
I now put a question that clause 7 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
Clause 8. Chairperson.
Madam Right Honorable Chair, Clause 8 is on payment in kind, and the committee is proposing to amend Clause 8A to B by inserting the words referred to in paragraph 2A between the words petroleum and 2, so that the provision reads as follows. B, sell the petroleum referred to in paragraph 2A to other shippers or third-party purchasers. Right Honorable Madam Chair, the justification for this is to clear the potential concern on loss of revenue from the in-kind model, if not clearly referred to in-kind petroleum. Madam Chair, I beg to move.
I put a question that clause 8 be amended. Yes, Jonathan.
Madam Chair, this clause 8 itself, first of all, that this term payment in kind is likely to be abused. Payment in kind. If you read through the bill, it appears payment is in kind is the same as payment using our oil. That's what this clause says. And if that is what it means, first of all, it must be explicit, must be clear that you are saying we are going to use the oil to pay. But under what circumstance will you turn around and start using the oil to pay? Because you are likely, if you read 3, subclause 3, it is talking about creation of a security. And security has been defined as an encumbrance under the definition, meaning that it's a mortgage. That's what it means, that actually this oil can be mortgaged under the pretext of payment in kind. Is that the kind of law that we'd want to make. That we give people opportunity to come and mortgage, to create an encumbrance, a charge.
Can we have an explanation?
I think even this clause should actually be completely deleted and issues of payment in kind left alone.
Madam Chairperson.
First of all, we need to know whether she's in agreement with your amendment.
Right Honorable Chair, yes, I'm in agreement of the proposal to insert the words referred to in 2A because it clarifies that we are dealing for the crude oil and we are authorizing the payment in kind. We are in a business. UNOC might not have cash at hand, but they have crude oil, which they can use to pay where there is no cash. So the insertion is making further clarification, and I'm in agreement. Right Honorable Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Madam Chair, further to that, I agree with the Honorable Minister that UNOC does not have cash to pay for the cost of transportation of our crude oil. Our partners in the ECOP gave us two options: to pay with cash, in which case Uganda would have to open an escrow account offshore outside this country, in which case our partners would get money directly from there, but also the other option is the one of payment in kind. Our negotiators considered these two options and found that the one of requiring Uganda to open an offshore escrow account, which would be accessed by those whom we would owe money, would expose the country in terms of security. And so we felt that our negotiators did a good job of providing that UNOC be allowed to pay for transportation of our crude oil in kind. And the committee has moved on to say we need to clearly define the oil that UNOC will have access to. And that is why we moved this amendment to clearly define that oil, which is the in-kind oil, crude oil.
Yes.
So, Madam Chair, I beg to move that this House accepts the amendment.
And that is in the agreement, the intergovernmental agreement. I put a question that clause 8 be amended as proposed. Yes, Cecilia.
Chair, this section which talks about cost in kind could actually be pushing us to appropriation in advance, and that would be going against the law. Because in kind means I'm spending in anticipation.
Do we appropriate in kind in the House?
No, we don't. That's why I'm just posing a warning, because I'm feeling uncomfortable about that. I need a comfort, because that is a way of telling me whatever cost I incur, you will pick it up at cost. So they're allowing me to spend in advance. So that is my concern.
Honorable
and that would be
Katonto.
against the law.
Madam Chair.
Honorable Katonto. Members, I really want you, first of all, to appreciate what is in the intergovernmental agreement, the host agreement, all those kind of agreements before we start debating. Let's not debate because you've just heard somebody talking something. This is a technical issue. That's why even I say let's not debate it here. Go as a subcommittee, agree, and that's what is being reported. Honorable Katuntu.
Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda has already committed itself with its partners, international partners. They have negotiated and they have arrived at some positions. Unless some of them outrightly infringing on the Constitution, then that we cannot support here. But we are talking about decisions that have arrived at through a business manner. That's the problem. Having said that, we are talking about the 15% participation of UNO in the project. Because if you say oil 15% appropriate, it's like we are talking about all the oil we have, which we've got either as loyalties, profit oil, or participation. No, this is purely about the 15% participation in the crude oil project. And that's where the in-kind payment comes in. It is a transaction. You are just paying for what you should be paying for. I'm trying to make it as clear so that we all fall. It's quite technical, but understand it that we have to pay. We have to pay. Do we have monies to pay, or we can utilize this resource for payment? And that's what this particular clause is trying to do.
Information from...
yes, Right Honorable Speaker. Payment in kind cannot be a big issue here. The entire oil, because some members have not fully appreciated the full extent of what we are dealing with, the entire oil is being shared literally in kind. From production, we get royalty.
Honorable Chivombi, the 15% is for shipping, for transportation of the crude.
Yes. You see, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not even opposed to payment in kind. I'm only clarifying that payment in kind, you cannot run away from it. That payment in kind, the entire oil as it is, we've shared it. Because we don't have the money, we're a poor lot. We are told as the oil comes out of the ground, we begin to share oil. Okay? We take our oil of royalty in oil. They take the one of costs in oil. They will take the 15%, all down we are sharing oil. And when it comes to the transportation, where Uganda does not have the money to pay to the pipeline, which is the private company, the company will simply say, please give us the oil. So that means as members legislate here, they must know that whatever we are legislating, and that's why we are very, very careful on beneficial. That's why we put a big question mark on beneficial, but we have passed it. We are saying, as we crude, by the time we go to Tanga, the Uganda share of oil will be a small percentage. We have given away oil in cost benefit, oil in whatever, in transport, and in the other bill, we know exactly what Uganda will have. Not much to talk about. That's why we are very, very careful, Honorable Abdu, that payment in kind is okay, but, and I think I've done.
Madam Chair, more information. Just add on that. More information?
Yeah, information. Thank you, Madam Chair. The current fiscal regime requires that any revenues that are collected must be spent only after appropriation. But this payment in kind is a kind of payment at source, which is a kind of barter trade, and that is a complete departure from the current regime of how revenues are supposed to be
Is
spent.
barter trade allowed?
No.
Do you appropriate for barter trade?
No.
For in
Crude
kind,
oil
do you appropriate for in kind?
in kind?
Yes.
No.
So that's not what we are doing.
I thought that's what is being
No.
advocated by the
No.
minister.
That's not what the
That
minister
the
is saying.
payment be done at source.
Can I regain my floor, Honorable Numbers? Thanks very much. You see, colleagues, this is the East African crude oil pipeline special provisions law bill. Special provisions. What does special provisions mean? It means that actually under the current legal regimes, different laws, there has been already set standards. But we must move away from those standards particularly for this particular project. That's why it is called Special Provisions Bill. We know very well that, and my colleagues are right, what does the Public Finance Management Act provide? It does provide that. But for this particular project, we need this special law. And that's why it is not any other general law on public finance. It's not. We are talking about oil at this stage. You have partners. You've already entered into agreements. What do? You move away from the general provisions. You are going to find other provision, Madam Chair, which says notwithstanding anything provided in any other law. Meaning, you are making this particular law superior, but for purposes of this project.
Thank you, Honorable Katuntu. I put a question that clause 8 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. I now put a
Clause 8 as amended.
I now put a question that clause 8 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary no.
These guys have
Clause 9.
Give them
The ayes have it.
You take a 20 barrels.
Clause 9.
And you go and sell ours.
I put a question that clause 9 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary no.
Clause 10.
Clause 10, Chair, there is an amendment. There is no amendment. I now put a question that clause 10 stands as part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
Clause 11. If it is not a clause that you agreed upon, then you let us know.
Right Honorable Chairperson and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that we amend clause 11A, subclause 3, by inserting another paragraph immediately after paragraph B to read as follows. Where land has been identified for implementation of project activities, compensation of project affected persons, and acquisition of the land shall be done in accordance with the laws of Uganda and the host government agreement. Right Honorable Chairperson, the justification for this amendment is for compliance to Ugandan laws and the host government agreement. I beg to move.
Minister.
I concede.
I put a question that clause 11 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary no.
Clause 11 as amended.
I now put a question that clause 11 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
I put a question that clause 12 stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 13.
I put a question that clause 13 stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 14.
Chair.
Madam Chairperson, I beg to move that we amend subclause 3C by substitution with the following. Reflect the principles contained in the host government agreement. The justification for this proposed amendment is for conformity to the host government agreement. Madam Chair, I beg to move.
I put the question that clause 14 be amended as proposed. Minister, sorry.
I concede, Right Honourable Chair.
I put a question that clause 14 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
Clause 14 as amended.
I put a question that clause 14 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The
Clause
ayes have it.
15.
I put a question that clause 15 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
No, I thought the chairperson would rise and make clarification on the amendment that was made on 15. Or they dropped?
There is no clarification, I saw.
15?
15. 15.
Clause 16.
Clause 16, I put a question that clause 16 stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
I put a question that clause 17 stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
I put a question that clause 18 stands part of the bill, and those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 19.
I put a question that clause 19 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
Clause 20.
I put a question that clause 20 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 21.
I put a question that clause 21 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
Clause 22.
I put a question that clause 22 stands part of the bill, and those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 23.
I put a question that clause 23 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
Clause 24.
Clause 24. Chair.
Right Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move an amendment to subclause 2 of clause 24 by capturing environmental EHSS in full as follows. Environmental health and safety standards, and write all other abbreviation of words used in the bill to appear in full. Madam Chairperson, the justification for this is for purposes of clarity. I beg to move.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Right Honourable Chair.
I put a question that clause 24 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary no.
Clause 24 as amended.
I now put a question that clause 24 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes
Clause
have it.
25.
Chair.
Right Honorable Madam Chair, I beg to move that we amend clause 25, which is on a joint venture with local partners, by amending sub-clause 2 by redrafting to adopt a more positive tone. A Ugandan party shall be considered eligible to participate in a Ugandan joint venture where, and the justification for this is to adopt a more positive tone. I beg to move, Madam Chair.
Minister.
I concede.
I put a question that clause 25 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay.
Clause 25 as amended.
I now put a question that clause 25 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
Procedure.
Right Honorable Chair, I'm standing on a point of procedure. By thanking you first of all for your wise guidance yesterday, where you directed us to go out and harmonize all the reports that we had. And the effort of that harmonization has manifested in the way we have transacted so far the bill. I am therefore requesting that whether it will not be procedure okay to sanction us again to go out and harmonize on the remaining provisions, because the efforts of our harmonization stopped at this very provision 25. And therefore, I would like to request that we proceed. You allow us proceed like you guided yesterday.
Motion for the House to resume.
Right Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the House do resume and the Committee of the whole House reports thereto.
No.
I put a question that the House do resume and the Committee of the whole House reports thereto.
Put the question.
Those in favor say and to the contrary nay.
No.
The ayes have it. Honorable members.
Report from the Committee of the whole House.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has transacted the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Bill and has considered amendments, has considered clauses 2, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 14, and 24 with amendments, has passed clauses 1, 3, 5, 9, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 25 with amendments. We skipped the clause 4 on interpretation, after your guidance, Right Honourable Speaker, that we shall consider it after all these other provisions. I beg to report.
Motion for adoption of the committee from motion for adoption of the report from the committee of the whole House.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to move that the report from the committee of the whole House be adopted.
Right Honourable Speaker, the speed at which the guiding team has been working maybe has been too fast for me, because we are delegated powers to a special team to look through the controversial areas and report back. But you recall, Right Honourable Speaker, we agreed, the minister communicated to us that they agreed that the new or the agreed position will be communicated as and when we are considering clause by clause. Now, when we come to clause 11, for the avoidance of doubt, can I be assured that my statement of prompt, what is it, as provided for by the Constitution, can I be assured that all those terms have been accommodated, prior, prompt, and appropriate? Can I be assured? Because you were moving in a tactical way, and you were not. You didn't give us opportunity to interrogate your agreed position. Maybe if we had interrogated your agreed position, we would know how you are moving. But now I'm being told that everything is finished. But can I be assured, for the avoidance of doubt, can I be assured, Right Honourable Speaker?
Honourable Cecilia, what you've talked about the clause 11 has already passed. But you still have an option of recommitting it. Now, what is, and actually what is happening, we have only passed the 25 clauses. The committee is actually going back to sit and look at the remaining clauses. Are we together, Madam? Imat? You know, when I'm taking you through, I need to take you very slowly because Dokolo is far. Now, the committee is going back to look at all those things, the remaining ones. But if you have an issue with the clause 11, you can recommit it.
Clarification, Madam Speaker.
Yes, clarification.
From me or from? The Honourable Minister has started to speak.
The Chair is clarifying to the question. He's the owner of the document.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your guidance. The clarification I want to give to my elder, Mama Cecilia, is that the amendment I moved on this clause 11 states as follows: where land has been identified for implementation of project activities, compensation of project affected persons, and acquisition of the land shall be done in accordance with the laws of Uganda and the host government agreement. The prior, prompt, and fair, which referred to, is contained in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, which is the supreme law of the land.
Summarize it. It has left me still hanging, because I would want him to bring those statements. The project affected persons must be paid promptly, fairly, and adequately.
Those statements are provided for in the Land Act.
Yes, but I want it to appear in this one, for the avoidance of doubt.
Why do we have the Land Act there for? Then why don't we copy the whole Land Act? Honourable Katuntu.
Yeah, my
Mother-in-law.
yeah, that one. The Honorable Barbara Imat Atim, popularly known as the Honorable Cecilia Ogwal. The point you are raising is constitutional. Not even this law can subject the can outlaw any provision of the Constitution, because the Constitution is superior. What the chairperson of the committee has said, and what we looked at, is we cannot set any other standard other than that provided by the Constitution. Those very words are in the Constitution. And the chairperson is saying it shall be done in accordance with the laws of Uganda. Other provisions we have said, notwithstanding what is provided for in any other law, making this law actually superior to other laws. In this particular provision, clause 11, we are saying it will be done in accordance with the laws of Uganda. And the provision of the Constitution are actually repeated in the Land Act. We can't legislate like we are idle. Every other time we legislate for what has already been legislated. That's not proper legislation. So the Constitution protects, the Land Act protects, and indeed this particular provision, when it becomes law, your interest. I thank you, Imati Cecilia Barbara.
Thank you, Honorable Katuntu. Yes, Lob.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Yeah, before you put the question, just like the Minister has ably enumerated, we try to converse over these clauses. And of course, they are all dicey because the law we are making is one of a kind. But the beauty about doing this work is that in it, there should be no winners and losers. No. And I want to believe that nobody is attempting to be a winner and declaring others losers. In that spirit, because the meeting to which you asked us to go for is an informal platform. It's not part of our rules, but under Commonwealth practice, it's allowed, the usual channels, as we call them. May we, in that spirit, Right Honourable Speaker, with the indulgence, ask that the chairperson of the Committee of Finance and the Minister of Finance join that usual channel for the next conversation to probably avoid recommittals, because the air smells recommittals, Right Honourable Speaker. Would it save us time that we can properly move to the center?
I agree.
Probably in our usual channels, informally recommit from within, with a view that at some stage the Minister could move a recommit of one of the clauses that are still, contentious, that all are able to harmonize. Because I do not see that we are here to legislate and declare winners and losers. Right, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition, Chairman Finance. And once your Leader of Opposition has spoken, you don't speak. Huh? Chairman Finance and Minister of Finance, please join the team in the discussion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Whereas I am not departing from what the Leader of Opposition is seeking, I would like to know what am I going to do in the committee.
You will do what they are doing.
No.
You will do what all the others are doing.
No.
Members, I now put a question that the report of the members. Members, I now put a question that the report of the Committee of the Whole House be adopted. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary nay. I adjourn the House to tomorrow. Let the committee go and finish its work. Thank you.
Tune in to UBC TV this Thursday, December 9th at 7:30 p.m. to watch the exciting Rwenzori Mountains of the Moon documentary starring Golola Moses and Miss Lily Ajarova.
I have a saying of saying that nothing is impossible.
Catch all the action as they attempt to traverse the Margarita Peak, the highest point in Uganda.
This week on UBC.
When there is one thing in my head, I never say I don't know. I don't remember ever saying I don't know. I'll keep quiet, go back and do another venture on my own. Like do another venture to make sure I do the right thing.
Yes. She's going to tell us really a life story to inspire us.
I think in the meantime, they were faster than me. The rest, I woke up and I wanted to move away. I don't know how much time I spent on the ground. I wanted to move and go. That's when I realized my hand was loose. It actually cut this thumb. I have it's kind of damaged all around. And actually when I'm holding a racket, very few people know, but it doesn't grip so well. And this finger doesn't grip so well, but you can't know unless you're so close and know what exactly. The transition has never been easy for anything in life. But because I already had a target in my mind, and because I wanted no one to ever undermine me for anything or overlooked for anything or seen as some useless person.
Welcome to Elmo's World News. Reporter Elmo is here to tell you all about a new way kids are staying healthy at home. Elmo's friends all over the world know that we can carry germs in our bodies. Germs are so tiny that we can't even see them, but they can make us sick. When we sneeze or cough, germs can spread to others and make them sick too. When you feel a tickle in your nose or throat, you may be about to sneeze or cough. Turn away from others, bend your arm toward your nose and mouth, and sneeze or cough.